Hi everyone, enjoy this movie. I enjoyed doing the technique on this frame. Hope you like it. Give it the thumbs up, tell all your friends, subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoy my movies. This is Julie from Rustic Cottage Co. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Please enjoy the movie. Hi, this is Julie from Rustic Cottage Co. and I'm going to be doing a paint technique on this. This is an old door from one of the projects of a hutch or a cabinet or buffet that I did, and I took the door off so it wasn't needed. So this is a good waste not kind of video too, so I'm going to use the door. I'm going to take the actual hinges off, and I think I'm going to keep the handle on for now. We'll see later. And I'm also going to take the glass out, and then we'll get started painting. Alright, so I'm going to take those off and then I'll get started with the painting. Okay, so I've removed the hinges, I've removed the glass. You could, if you wanted to, keep the glass in this piece and paint over it. But because I have some plywood, I'm going to actually do plywood instead of glass to make it a little lighter and less fragile for selling. That's the only reason, but if you're doing it for your home, you could just literally with the chalk paint over the glass and do the same thing. I'm going to be using charcoal, the Rust-Oleum, oh, my finger's right over it here, Rust-Oleum chalked charcoal. I'm going to put one coat over the whole frame, and I'm okay with the paint going over the actual handle too, and just paint one coat. Let's get going. Okay, so it's covered with the charcoal grey chalk paint and now nicely dry. Next I'm going to be using this product here. It's a crackle medium. Weathered wood is the one I like to use on wood, and I'm going to be using a brush and just pretty much painting it on. Not too thick, not too thin, everywhere. So I'm just going to shake it up and just squeeze on just a little bit on each of the sides, and then with just basically a chippy brush, any chippy brush, just spread it out, getting it everywhere. And then along this side. Again, and I'm just putting it all over. Now I don't want this to fully dry, but I need it to be partially dry, so just sticky dry to the touch, and then we'll be putting the top coats on. So the thicker you put this on, the more it will crackle. The thinner, the less of the crackle. To the handle too, and the last little bit over here. So say there's parts where it's thick and there's parts where it's thin. Just let that dry up. And then we will do the next part. Okay, so this is now kind of sticky dry, dry in places, wet in other places. And I'm going to go in with the next coat. I'm going to be using two colours. This one was Bohemian Blue and White mix, which is made kind of a slate greyish blue. And I'm just going to put it in different areas of this frame, we'll call it here. Go over a couple of times here, just get it nice colour. And I'm also going to be using this Apothecary DIY paint with a different brush and just go over some more parts. I don't want to blend them per se, I just want different colours underneath. You want it quite thick, put it on. And as I say, if it does blend, that's fine. Make sure we cover everywhere. And then we're just going to let it dry and let it do its thing and see what crackle effect we get out of this. Alright, going to wash out the brushes and just let it do its thing. Let it crackle up. I can see it already crackling, so that's amazing. We'll leave it to crackle. So now it is dry enough. I'm going to try and bring it close to you so you can see. I hope you can see the crackle effect I have gotten. It's really nice on this piece. Some nice crackle effect going on. And next I'm going to use a dry, it's quite rough actually, but I've used it quite a bit. This it's a face cloth, but it's quite rough, and I'm going to try this and I'm just going to rub over everything. If it peels up some of the paint, that's good. And now I'm going to put this cloth in some warm water, let it soak completely in, and I'm going to do some wet distress. I'm going to wet distress the corners around the around the handle more than anything else. So I'm just going to rub this corner here and just bring back some of the charcoal grey is what I'm doing. As I say, mostly on the detail and the corners. Just wet distress as usual. I want it quite a bit on the actual handle itself. And now we are going to let that dry a bit because it was just a little wet from the wet cloth. And we are going to put another coat of this on. So we're going to be putting another coat on. Okay, so we have the weathered wood crackle effect again, and we are going to again let this go on all the sides. Just squeeze it on. and then I'm going to brush it in with the same chippy brush. And do the same thing again, but we're going to go over with our top coat colour. So let's get this on and let it just dry to a sticky kind of dry to the touch, but a slightly sticky consistency. So leave this to get to that point. Alright, so this is now the weathered woods crackle effect has dried to a sticky consistency, and I'm going to be using my usual paint. Put it in the English side, there you go. And I'm just going to cover the whole thing best I can, getting a good coverage of the white. Over the whole lot. And we're going to just let that crackle do what it needs to do and leave it be. It's a nice coverage, I feel, not too thin, not too thick, and we'll let it just do its thing. Alright, so now we have the crackle going on, we have the top coat, the white coat now is dry, and I'm going to go back in again with a wet damp cloth, and I'm going to go into the crevices, the corners, the lines, and just get back again best I can to the charcoal grey. Making sure that I do it on the handle here. And as I say, especially in the corners. Just take your time, bringing out, as I say, the corners and the edges, knowing where you want the darkness to be, and anything that's got a little bit of a pattern, it's always fun to just highlight it with wet distressing. Try and avoid some of the areas that's got a nice crackle. You don't want to wipe that away. So take your time on this top coat. I think this last corner up here, I've got to do this outside line too. Put this corner up here. right back to that charcoal grey. Up here, get on this edge. And we've got a nice look going on here. Just going to go back into parts that just need a little more. And I think that's looking nice, looking good. As I say, you don't want to rub away any of the beautiful crackle you have. But I think this is starting to look nice, and I'm going to try and bring you close to see what we've got going on here. So I'm going to let this now, as I say, it's dry, but as I'm always try to tell people, there's a difference between dry, the paint is dry to touch, but it's soft. You don't want to mess with it too much, you want to leave it overnight to completely harden, which I call cured. And let that do that. Let it enjoy that. And then we will go over it with some clear coat and to protect it, and then we will go in with a little bit of glaze just to age it just a little bit, and we will finish that, but I'm going to let it dry overnight. Okay, so it's completely dry now, and I'm going to put on some glaze. And I know in the last little while I've been putting glaze on everything, but I kind of got addicted to it. I'm loving how it comes out, so I'm going to try it on this piece. So first of all, I'm going to be using, and look, you can tell I've been using it lots, because look how bad the actual can is. It's a smoked glaze called, so this one's kind of a greyish glaze. It's water based, so it's easy to wipe off, and that's why the way I do it, I need to put it on first and then do the clear coat on top after. And what I use is, I get this little kind of, it's like a stencil brush I get from the dollar store, and I like to use these brushes best for when I'm glazing. So I'm going to show you how I just dab, let's put it in the middle here so you can see what I'm doing. I just dab a stencil brush on the lid, and then I'm going to go into the corners mostly, and I think I need a little bit more, so let's put some on here and then just wipe off, as I say, just a little more. And just use your damp cloth if it's too much, and as I say, add more if it's too little, and just go into the corners and the crevices. Just a little bit, and just finding it a little thick right now. I've got too much on. I had too little, now I have too much. So just dab in with a damp cloth and it'll pull some of it off. And that's why I like this product, because it is water based, so you can play around with it until you get the look you're looking for. And I just want it to look kind of dark. That's why I like the grey one first, dark in the crevices. So just going to tap on a little bit and then go in this here, right on the edges. Towards the centre, again towards the centre. And you want to go from the corner to the centre there, just so that you're getting less and less. It's getting drier and drier, and then just push push back a little with the damp cloth, just so you're pushing it down. So it's just a little less obvious. Again, just play around with how much you want being aged, being darkened, and I want a little, but not lots. So I'm just going to play with it, going over the edges, around the corners, and just, as I say, continue up to the center, and then you would go from that corner down to the center, because you want your corners to be more. And as you get to the middle, to be less. And I'm just going to go back again with my cloth and pull back just a little, because it's just a little too much. And just, as I say, keep playing with it till you get the look you're looking for. And it's fun to do because you can kind of use the water to get exactly the look you want. And just keep going, doing that on that side there. And then we'll go back in with the other glaze. Alright, for the second glaze is a brownish glaze. This one is an antique look glaze, and again, same, you can tell I've been using it lots. So this is aged glaze, and the first one was smoked glaze. Smoked one is a greyish tone, and the aged glaze is a brownish tone. And so say, just shake it well, and I find when you shake it well, you have enough of the glaze on the top of the lid to play with. Use the same brush, just dab it on and just go into the corners mostly. Go over where you did heavily the grey, and just go over with the actual brown. And then as you've done the corner, just pull it with your finger along, or push it with your finger along. You're toning it down and you're pulling it through. And this is how I like to do this brownish colour, using my fingers, just making it kind of dirty looking. And if you have it too much in places, just use, again, damp cloth and just push it back. Just use your fingers to pull it up. I find that's my easiest way of getting it into the parts I want. Get it into the corners and then use your fingers to push it through. And then go back in with a damp cloth and just dab it out. This gives an aged look to the corners, and it also gives, the grey gives it a definition in the corners, and the brown gives it an age in the corners. So then just dab it out. And I'm just going to go show you where I like to do it lots where the handles are. So I'm just going to push it onto the edges of where my handle is. Push it in all the way along the edges in the handle and around that area. Get it quite heavy in that area. It's a well used area. And then with your fingers, push it back. and then go back in on the parts that you just want to push back a little bit because it's just too much. As I say, enjoy playing with it, you know, have some fun. You're just giving a little depth, age, definition. And then do each corner, and then when that is dry, completely dry, then you'll just put your clear coat on top of it all, and it will all be finished and look aged. I'm Julie from Rustic Cottage Co. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and thumbs up. Thank you.